Crash! The champagne glass exploded against the white marble wall, shattering into 1,000 pieces. A scream followed. Not hers, someone else's. Her veil was still pinned to her hair, but her heels were already off. "He's gone," the wedding planner whispered, phone trembling in her hand. "He's at the station. He left an hour ago." Silence didn't fall. It collapsed. 100 guests gasped in waves. The band stopped mid-chord. Her mother fainted. Her father stormed out. But she walked straight through the crowd, grabbed a chair, and smashed it into the floor. "Where's his room?" she shouted. No one moved. Then she vanished into the corridor like a storm breaking from the eye. Upstairs, her fists slammed the door of the hotel manager's office. "Give me the damn key," she growled. "Now." No tears. No explanations. Just raw, shaking fury. Nobody knew what was inside that room, or what she was really looking for. A letter? A confession? Another woman? She didn't even know. She just knew this: she was done being chosen, then left. She was going to choose herself, whatever that meant. The door clicked open. The room was spotless. Untouched. Except for the open drawer. She stepped in, heart hammering, and reached for the single item inside, a small black flash drive taped beneath the drawer's surface. Her name written on it in red ink. She froze. It wasn't his handwriting. Her phone vibrated. One message. Unknown number. "Don't listen to what they'll say. Run. Now." Her hands went cold. She stuffed the flash drive into her clutch, grabbed the hotel notepad, scribbled 3 words, and left it on the pillow. The note was never found. Or if it was, no one ever spoke of it. Downstairs, people were still murmuring. No one dared stop her. A taxi pulled up before she even raised her hand. She opened the door, got in, and said only 2 words: "Train station." There was no plan. No clothes. No destination. Just that burning in her chest that screamed louder than logic. She didn't cry. Not once. The driver kept glancing in the mirror. "You okay?" he asked. She didn't answer. Her mind was already somewhere else. Not just past the broken engagement, the dress, the guests. Further. Deeper. A decision was forming. One that would change everything. But she didn't even know what it was yet. She just knew this wasn't rock bottom. It was ignition. She arrived at the station at 6:47 p.m. A train was leaving in 3 minutes. No time to think. She bought a ticket to the farthest place on the screen, a city she'd never been to. As the train doors closed behind her, she clutched the flash drive tighter. Whatever was on it, answers, lies, danger, she'd find out later. Right now, all that mattered was this: the story that was supposed to begin with a wedding just exploded into something else entirely. And no one, not even she, knew where it was going. The train lunged forward. She stumbled into her seat, heart pounding like a war drum. The city blurred behind the rain-streaked window. Her dress was soaked at the hem, makeup smeared into shadows beneath her eyes. She looked like chaos. She felt like fire. She clutched the flash drive in her palm as if it were alive. The ink on it had smudged slightly from her sweaty grip. But her name, her full name, was still legible. In red. All caps. It wasn't his handwriting. And it wasn't anyone she knew. Her phone buzzed again. "Don't plug it in yet. Wait until you're safe." No name. No reply. She stared at the message. Who was watching her? Who knew where she was going? And why did they care? Her number wasn't public. The SIM was new, it had only ever been given to him. She turned off the phone. The woman across from her, elderly, quiet, offered her a tissue without a word. She took it, nodded, but didn't wipe her tears. She needed to feel them. Each one reminded her this was real. This wasn't a nightmare or some cruel joke. Then she remembered the laptop. The old one. Still in her gym bag from yesterday's meeting, the one she almost cancelled because of wedding chaos. She pulled it out slowly. Hesitated. Looked around. No cameras. No one watching. She plugged in the flash drive. 2 files. One titled, "For Her." The other, "Never open in public." She froze. What the hell was this? She opened the first file. A single video. No sender. No metadata. She clicked play. The screen went black, then a man's face. Blurred. Masked. Distorted voice. "I hope you made it out. If you're seeing this, things moved faster than we expected. He's not who you think. The wedding was never about love. It was a test." Her lungs stopped moving. "There are people who will look for you. They'll say they're your friends. They'll say he was scared, or sick. Do not believe them." The file ended. That was it. No answers. Just fuel for paranoia. She unplugged the drive. Slammed the laptop shut. She wanted to scream. To destroy something. But she sat frozen, shaking. Around her, strangers. Peaceful. As if the world hadn't just snapped in half beneath her. A message buzzed on the screen of the train. Not her phone. Someone else's. A man a few rows ahead. The screen lit up for a moment. She saw only a name, groom, private, and a line of text. "She's on the 650. Compartment 4. Her blood ran cold. She didn't know who he was. She'd never seen him before. But he had just received a message about her. From her ex-fiancé. Or from whoever was using his name. And the train wasn't stopping for another 140 kilometers. She didn't blink. Couldn't. Her eyes were fixed on the man 3 rows ahead. Blue hoodie. Tan messenger bag. The message was still on his screen. He didn't even try to hide it. "She's on the 650. Compartment 4. She was in compartment 4. Her pulse hammered in her throat. She turned slowly, pretending to stretch her legs. He glanced at her. Too quickly. He knew. She looked down. Her wedding ring still on her finger. She yanked it off, shoved it into her coat pocket. Think. Move. Fast. The restroom, 3 doors down. She stood, smiled weakly at the elderly woman across from her, then walked calmly down the aisle, every step burning with the question, what was the wedding really about? As soon as the restroom door clicked shut, she locked it. Pulled her phone from her bag, still off. Should she turn it on? Every instinct screamed no. But she needed someone. Anyone. She searched her pockets. No IDs. No wallet. Just the flash drive, and a folded piece of hotel stationery. She'd forgotten she wrote something before leaving the hotel. 3 words. Just 3. I remember everything. She had no idea what that meant. She flushed the toilet to mask the sound, sat on the lid, and opened the laptop again. The second file still glowed on the screen, never open in public. Screw it. She clicked. A folder appeared. Inside, dozens of files. Names. Pictures. Maps. Bank transactions. Surveillance images. One name she recognized, her maid of honor. Next to it, a location. A date. A single word, asset. Her hands shook. She scrolled. More names. Her fiancé's college roommate. Her boss. Her landlord. Even the barista from the coffee shop she'd visited every morning. Every single person tagged with one of three words, asset. Observer. Monitored. She slammed the laptop shut. Panic flooded her chest. Was she part of something? Used? Watched? For how long? Knock. Sharp. 3 times. Ma'am? You okay? A voice. Male. Not staff. Too steady. Too rehearsed. She didn't respond. Your husband is looking for you. Her breath stopped. Not ex-fiancé. Husband. They knew she ran. They were already rewriting the story. She checked the window. It didn't open. Then remembered, there was a service corridor between compartments. Emergency access. She grabbed her bag. Climbed onto the sink. Kicked the panel loose from the wall. Wires. Screws. Darkness. Footsteps outside. Her legs disappeared into the wall just as the lock clicked. The door swung open. Empty. She crawled in the dark, heart pounding louder than her thoughts. Something wasn't right. This wasn't about a man who couldn't commit. This was something deeper. Bigger. And whatever it was, she was at the center of it. But the question that kept screaming in her head was the one she feared the most. What exactly did she remember? The metal inside the train's wall groaned with each bump of the tracks. Her knees scraped raw against the narrow passage. It was suffocating, but it was her only way out. She couldn't stop crawling. Couldn't stop shaking. Every 5 meters she paused to listen. Voices. A radio. A coded language she didn't recognize. Someone else was moving, parallel to her, inside the train. She wasn't alone in the service tunnel. At the end of the corridor, she reached a grated vent. Through it, a dimly lit staff compartment. Empty. She kicked it gently, then again, it gave way with a metallic clatter. She tumbled in, gasping for breath, blood on her palms. She pulled the flash drive from her bag. Her hands trembled, but this time not from fear. From fury. How many of them were watching her before this? Was the entire engagement a fabrication? A mission? Was he even real? She opened her laptop. Plugged the drive in again. Navigated back to the folder. There, a file she hadn't noticed before. Phase 2, initiated. She clicked it. A map appeared. Her photo in the center. Radiating lines. Timelines. Red zones. And the last entry timestamp just 1 hour ago. Subject deviation confirmed. Asset reclassification, unstable. She wasn't running from them anymore. They were hunting her. She slammed the laptop shut again. Just then, the emergency light flickered overhead. She heard footsteps in the hallway outside the staff room. 2 men. 1 voice. She's bleeding. Must have come through the service path. She looked around for anything, escape, disguise, weapon. Nothing but storage crates and a fire extinguisher. She grabbed it. Hid behind the door. As the handle began to turn, the train screeched, a sudden, jarring stop. Unscheduled. Unplanned. The whole compartment shook. Then silence. She darted through the other door before they entered, sprinting into the next coach. Lights flickered. People stirred in confusion. An announcement crackled overhead, but the voice was muffled, almost deliberately distorted. She couldn't make out the words. Then she saw it, a tall man in a conductor's uniform, standing motionless by the exit. Watching her. Smiling faintly. She knew that face. Not from life, from the flash drive. He was in one of the files. Labeled, tertiary cleaner, inactive since 2017. Her heart twisted. If he was inactive, what was he doing here? Why now? She pushed through the crowd, but he didn't follow. She made it to the end of the train. Pressed against the window. Darkness outside. No station. Just a tunnel. A single emergency light blinking red outside. No platform. They hadn't stopped for passengers. They had stopped for her. But the biggest question now spun like a razor in her mind. If she wasn't the target, had she been the weapon all along? The train doors wouldn't open. No button. No handle. Sealed. The conductor, the inactive cleaner, was gone. Vanished into the crowd or into the dark. She tried to force the doors apart, nails slipping on steel, panic rising like bile. The emergency light outside blinked red. 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 Then suddenly, green. With a hiss, the door opened into the tunnel. No one else moved. No one else seemed to see it. As if reality had split and only she stood in this fracture. She stepped out. Gravel beneath her heels. Cold wind like breath on her neck. The train didn't wait. It began to move again the moment her second foot touched the ground. And then, darkness. She ran. No plan, no light, just blind instinct. Until a small iron door appeared in the tunnel wall. Rusted. Barely visible. She pushed it open. Inside, light. A bare bulb swinging from the ceiling. A table. A chair. A man already sitting. Waiting. She froze. "I was hoping it'd be you," he said. She didn't know him. Or, did she? His face twitched, familiar in a way that made her stomach tighten. As if a dream were trying to resurface through water. "Sit. You're safer here for the next 11 minutes. She sat. Her whole body was shaking, but she didn't resist. "I can't answer all your questions," he said, calm as a surgeon. "But I'll ask one. Do you remember the first day you met him?" "Yes," she lied. "No, you don't," he replied without blinking. Her throat closed. He pulled a small device from his coat. Placed it on the table. It hummed softly. "Watch," he said. The wall behind him flickered. Projected video. Surveillance footage. Her. In a cafe. Alone. Before she met him. Before the engagement. Watching something on a laptop. Crying. The timestamp was wrong. A year too early. "What is this?" she whispered. "The truth. But only a sliver." She leaned closer. In the footage, someone approached her. Touched her shoulder. She turned, smiled. But the footage cut off before revealing the person's face. She gasped. "Play it again." He shook his head. "You've already seen it. You just forgot." Silence. He stood. "They'll find this place soon. You have 5 minutes. The rest of the footage is in here." He handed her a second flash drive. Not labeled. Just cold metal in her palm. "But if you open it now, you won't survive." "What do you mean?" He looked at her one last time. "Because knowing who you really are, isn't the hardest part." He disappeared through a second door. She sat in the room, alone again, the second drive in her hand. Her body said no. But her mind burned with one single question, the same one that had haunted her from the start. What exactly did she remember, and why had someone worked so hard to erase it? She sat still for a full minute, second flash drive cold in her palm. The hum of the projector had stopped. The bulb flickered above like it too was deciding whether to survive. The room felt smaller now. Claustrophobic. The last words of the man circled in her head like sirens. Knowing who you really are, isn't the hardest part. She couldn't stay. She stuffed the drive into the lining of her coat, felt for any cameras, none. No windows. One exit. She opened the door he used and stepped into a staircase, winding downward into what looked like maintenance tunnels. Dust. Pipes. The smell of metal and mold. She ran. Not like a victim, like a fugitive. But not from them. From the feeling that she was on the edge of remembering something she had once sworn never to remember again. Her watch buzzed. She didn't set any alarm. The screen flashed a notification. Extraction ETA, 19 minutes. Confirm position. She stopped cold. Who had access to her watch? Another buzz. This time from the train station above. Faint voices. She crouched into a shaft, covering herself in debris. Footsteps. 2 men in black boots. Tactical. Not police. She has the new drive. The one without the blocker. She's ahead of schedule. That's a problem. They passed. She didn't move for 60 seconds. Then she sprinted in the opposite direction. Left. Right. Down. Her phone, still off. But her laptop? It had no signal blocker anymore. Someone was using it to track her. She stopped in a service room. Turned it on. A program launched by itself. Static on the screen. Then a countdown. File unlock in 1843. She didn't press anything. The drive was doing this on its own. She didn't know if she should fear it, or wait for it. Then, another file appeared. Audio. Automatically playing. Her voice. Recorded. Whispering. Pleading. Please. You said you'd take it out. I don't want it anymore. Another voice. Calm. Male. It's safer if you forget. You were never supposed to see the full footage. We only needed you to believe enough. A long pause. Then her voice again, but different, colder. Then erase everything. All of it. Including him. She recoiled. The audio ended. She didn't remember saying any of that. But she couldn't deny it was her voice. The screen blinked again. A new message appeared. You authorized your own deception. Another knock. 3 quick taps. Not on the door, on the vent above. She looked up. A voice came through the metal. Don't open the drive. Not yet. Someone else already has. She stared upward, pulse thundering. A hand slipped a photo through the vent. It landed at her feet. Her. Sitting at a wedding table. Alone. In a white dress. But the man beside her wasn't the one she remembered. He wasn't even the same man in any of her pictures. The photo in her hand didn't shake, her fingers did. She stared at it, throat tightening. Her. In the same dress. Same bouquet. Same backdrop. But the man beside her was a stranger. Tall, dark hair, sharp jaw. No warmth in the eyes. She flipped the photo. A date was scrawled in ink. 2 weeks before today. It didn't make sense. She remembered planning the wedding. The proposal. The man she'd loved. His laugh. The way he touched her shoulder when he thought no one was watching. She remembered every detail, or thought she did. And yet this felt real. Too real. Who was this man? Another buzz. Her laptop. The countdown finished. The drive had unlocked itself. A folder opened. Inside, a recording. Titled Core Thread. She hesitated. The room suddenly went cold. Like something in the walls had begun breathing. Then, a new file appeared. Not from the drive. It was pushed onto her desktop remotely. Stop watching. Wrong timeline. Her skin went cold. Then the laptop shut off. Not crashed, powered down. As if someone else held the switch. The vent above her rattled. A voice, the same one as before. They're burning the paths. You're not supposed to reach the thread yet. Who are you? She whispered. Silence. I need to know who I am, she said. I need to know what I've forgotten. Still nothing. Then, a new voice. Not from above. From behind. You already do. That's why they're afraid of you. She spun. A woman stood in the shadows. Blonde. Face partially burned. One eye clouded. I watched you die 3 years ago, the woman said. The room spun. No, she said, backing away. That's impossible. You chose to forget. You chose to be reborn. But they couldn't erase everything. Not this. The woman handed her a piece of torn paper. One sentence. You were never supposed to survive the first ceremony. Her knees gave way. She dropped to the floor. Ceremony? Which one? She opened her mouth to speak, but the woman was already gone. Footsteps echoed in the hall again. She clutched the note, her heart on fire. And now, the question that burned louder than all others. What ceremony had she survived, and why had someone tried to make her believe it never happened? She ran again. Tunnel after tunnel, door after door. The woman was gone. The photo burned in her pocket. Her own face staring back at her from an event she didn't remember, or refused to. The first ceremony. The words echoed. But which ceremony? The wedding? Was it real? Or staged like everything else? The air got thicker. More humid. Ahead, a faint hum. A soft blue glow behind a metal grate. She pushed through. A room. Circular. Lined with screens. Every one of them showing a version of her. Different clothes. Different hair. Different cities. Some smiling. Some bleeding. One, screaming at a man who had no face. Her knees buckled. This wasn't surveillance. This was selection. Each screen flickered with one label. Candidate, failed/candidate, erased/candidate, fragmented. Only one screen was still marked active, and it was her. The version in the wedding dress, standing alone at the altar. Then something shifted. The center of the room lit up. A pillar rose. From it, a case. Inside, a ring. Her ring. But beneath it, a file folder. She opened it. The top page. Subject ID, 0413, Delta/Phase 3 authorized/memory vault locked until reconvergence. Her hand trembled. A stamp in red ink. Survival, unexpected. Footsteps. Someone was coming. Heavy. Unhurried. She turned. And froze. He stood there. Him. The man she remembered. The man she had loved. Her fiancé. Alive. Calm. Dressed in black. I told them it was too early, he said softly. That you'd remember faster than predicted. She couldn't breathe. Why did you leave? She whispered. I didn't. You told me to go. You made me. Her vision blurred. No, I didn't. He stepped forward. You did. You just don't remember. Not yet. He reached into his coat and pulled out a small object, the same flash drive. But older, worn. This is the original. The one you gave me. Before everything. She stared at it, mouth dry. He placed it in her hand. One more step, he said. And you'll know the truth. Her lips parted. Her heart cracked. She brought the drive to the laptop, her fingers shaking. And just before she plugged it in, she looked at him and asked the only question that mattered now. If I remember, who will I become? He didn't answer. She plugged in the flash drive. The screen didn't flicker. It ignited. White light. Then black. Then video. Herself. Sitting in a cold, sterile room. Hospital? Lab? Her hands were shaking. Her voice barely audible. This is my consent, she said to the camera. To full reset. To identity partition. To selective memory purge. I authorize the deletion of all emotional entanglements, the engagement construct, the handler program. Handler? Then another version of her entered the frame. Colder. Straighter posture. Eyes like ice. She's not ready, the second said. She won't survive, the first replied. She doesn't need to survive, said a voice off-screen. She only needs to choose. Suddenly, the screen blinked. A single sentence appeared. Reconvergence successful. Core memory restored. She staggered back. Every image, every word, every lie, snapped into place like thunder in her skull. She remembered everything. The training. The mission. The simulation of love. The first ceremony, not a wedding, but a selection. Dozens of candidates. But she was the only one who endured the reset. The only one who chose to forget, and survived. She remembered why. Because if she hadn't, she would have become like them. Behind her, he watched. Still calm. Still waiting. You weren't real, she whispered. You were part of it. He nodded. And so were you. But I loved you. He said nothing. Tears burned her cheeks. Not from sadness. From something bigger. Something breaking. Control. Manipulation. All of it. She stepped forward. Looked him in the eyes. Then I choose again. And she crushed the flash drive in her hand. Alarms blared instantly. Red lights. Doors locking. Emergency protocols activated. He looked at her, shocked. What did you do? She smiled, for the first time in what felt like eternity. I broke the loop. Sirens screamed. The screens went blank. The room vibrated like a heart beating too hard. She turned and ran. Through collapsing corridors. Through fire. Through the end of everything they'd built to contain her. And when she burst through the exit, breathless, covered in blood and memory and fury, the sky above was open. Clear. Real. She was no longer a subject. No longer a bride. No longer a program. She was herself. And for the first time, not in their story, not in their simulation, not in their script, but in her own story. She began.